everyone, and welcome to the first episode of this year's hashtag See Arthritis event being held during the Canadian Rheumatology Association and Arthritis Health Professions Association annual scientific meeting. It is so wonderful to be kicking off this series of educational videos with Dr. Trudy Taylor and Dr. Ahmad Zbib. So welcome to the studio, you two.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Let me
Hey,
tell the audience very quickly about you, and then we're going to dive right in. Let's start with you, Dr. Taylor. You are the fearless current president of the Canadian Rheumatology Association. Sometimes you got to be fearless in these roles. So, and I know that you are. You're also a very expert, kind and caring rheumatologist and an associate professor of medicine. You're the chair of the Rheumatology Specialty Committee for the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons and chair of the Continuing Professional Development Committee for the Department of Medicine at Division of Rheumatology at Dalhousie University. So we're so lucky to have you. Welcome again. And Dr. Zbib holds a global executive MBA in healthcare and life sciences from the Rotman School of Management. He has an MSc in medicine and physician qualification, as well as a BSc in biology. We're going to quiz him later on these topics to make sure he's up to snuff. He is currently the CEO of the Chief Executive Officer of the Canadian Rheumatology Association and the Executive Director of the Canadian Rheumatology Association Foundation. You're also a digital health expert with professional certification in healthcare information and management systems. So that means you're going to be paying rapt attention when the keynote speaker talks about AI, I suppose. Welcome to both of you. We're really grateful to have you sitting with us today.
thank you for having us.
Thank
Always a
you.
pleasure.
You bet. So here, first question, always the easiest one. Tell us, each of you, about your role with this meeting. So the meeting is just kicking off, held February 27th, the evening until March the 1st. So let's start with you, Dr. Zbib. Tell us your role in this meeting. Besides, you get to kind of take the blame for anything that goes wrong. What else do you get to do?
Absolutely. The blame is on me and the praise for the team. That's what I
There
always
you
say.
go.
Honestly, I'm the chief leading officer for this meeting because you put the right people in place and then magic happens. I think so. My role is to make sure that we have the right people running the show, and of course, balancing budget and making sure that we have enough money coming in. But the team does most of the work, so I can't take much of that, praise. I'll take the blame for sure.
Teamwork makes the dream work, I guess, is true here. Yeah. And Dr. Taylor?
Yeah, similar in some ways to Ahmed. I can certainly not take credit for the work of our wonderful scientific committee who really helped put together the meeting, the content of the meeting. We do have our scientific chair who will chair the meeting, and I'm uh, here to welcome people and to interact with all of our membership. Um, but really, the heavy work is our scientific committee.
Yeah, and they start work the day after this meeting ends. They'll start working on the following year's meeting. Tell us about the meeting theme this year. I love the title, by the way. It's so positive and aspirational. So tell us, Ascending to New Heights, Peaks of Innovation in Rheumatology. So I'm guessing you're celebrating not only the advancements that you've seen over the last year, but kind of also doing a level set as you peer forward into the future. So tell us about the theme of the meeting this year and what you're looking forward to specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to take first step, Trudy, and then if you want to add. Yeah, this is just a sort of a reality of what the scientific committee chose, and we fully support them on that. And it's sort of reflective also of our culture at the Canadian Rheumatology Association. which is sort of a reflection of the culture of rheumatologists, even at an individual level. It's such an evolving field, and we know immunology is a sort of a very hot topic right now, which is good for us. And we also know that the speed of discovery is growing at an exponential level. So it is very important for us to make sure that we keep up with that while also supporting our members to take care of themselves. I think that's an important thing. It's just it's easy to burn out. You've encountered that with Trudy and whatnot. It's very quickly you have to take care of people. So ascending to heights includes also ascending to heights of self-care. So I think that's also an important thing that we're trying to project here.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, Dr. Zbib, and it's not one people generally in the public think about, is you have these medical associations, and your role is really looking after the profession and the professionals who make up that profession. And I think that's kind of lost on the public, that doctors have to doctor themselves and they have to doctor each other. So kudos to you. I know you're doing a great job, and because that's what I hear from your members. And Dr. Taylor, when you think about ascending to new heights and peaks of innovation in rheumatology, as a rheumatologist yourself, sort of give us your view on this year's theme, but also what you're looking forward to in the program.
Yeah, I think like Ahmed said, it just really encapsulates what we live for in rheumatology. Um, the we see innovations year over year. I think we're in a really exciting time now, not just for um, innovations in clinical care around, ability to diagnose and manage disease, but also harnessing technology. And I think that's probably what I'm most excited to see is kind of the marrying of those two things, because I think it has amazing potential, not just for clinical care, but also for other realms that we're very heavily involved in around education and research, and self-care. Because I think if we can improve our efficiency, that goes a long way to self-care for our members too. So I'm really excited, and I think I'm super excited to see the talks on artificial intelligence, because I think
Yeah.
that just has such far-reaching implications in all of those realms. So I'm really excited to hear more about that.
Yeah, I know there's been a couple of members of your association that have done some preliminary work on whether rheumatology patients even want AI to be part of the picture. I don't necessarily know whether we're going to have a choice. As a patient myself, AI has crept into every aspect of my life, and I think it's a bit naive to think that it won't in the medical world, but certainly how it's going to be safeguarded, how the information that we share, for example, in EMRs, and am I actually going to be diagnosed by a robot, I think is kind of where people go. Dr. Zbib, can you maybe sort of flesh out my view of this a little bit for me?
Yeah, I think it's legitimate to be afraid of something new, and AI is still a black box, even for AI researchers. It kind of develops, and we don't really know how it's thinking and where it's going. And you hear about all these hallucinations, and that the AI agents can tend to do every now and then. So you should not put your trust in the machine 100%. At the same time, we know that our workforce is overworked, that we don't have enough healthcare providers to match the need. And there's also that fear that technology is going to replace people. My prediction is technology is not going to replace people. I think people with technology will replace people without technology. So it is important that we embrace it, and recognizing the privacy and security and the human aspect of it. But we've been experimenting a bit. We launched an AI scribe project within the CRA, and we partnered with two vendors and been customizing the interface to rheumatology practice. And so far, within the pilot project of almost 30 people, the response has been extremely, extremely positive. Doctors saying, I have more time to spend looking in the patient's eyes. There's that empathy aspect of practicing medicine is coming back. And also patients loving it. It's just they're seeing it live in action and say, oh, my doctor is pretty up to date, and all that technology. So I think we're in for an interesting ride. We just have to be very careful in how we do it, and we do it in a way that it does not suppress our humanity, but the opposite, it just surfaces it.
Yeah, my own rheumatologist, just as an aside, I think might be part of this group you're referring to because I was in a clinical visit with him myself, and I think he was using AI as a transcribing piece, and he played it back for me, and it was surprisingly accurate. There were a few words that were not rheumatology words that were meant to be rheumatology words, but on the whole, it was really, really good. Dr. Taylor, on that note, when you think about this technology, this initiative of the CRA that Dr. Zbib has just talked about, do you see a struggle between, younger set rheumatologists versus maybe those who are closer to the retirement? And how do you deal with that within the association itself? Or is it an
I think
issue, or is it even an issue?
I don't. I think that there definitely are variances in how people practice. I think that it's more than just a generation thing. I think we've always known there are some people who are early adopters and some people who are technophiles and love everything technology. And some of those are our people who are latest in career and just super excited about it. And so I think we just recognize that there is wide variation, and I think offering education around the potentials and use. But I think, ultimately it's up to each individual person whether they decide to adopt or not. But I think our job is to make sure that we present opportunities for education and understanding of how we can harness this technology.
Yeah. Well put. And Dr. Zbib, I loved your comment about physicians with technology putting physicians without the technology. That's where it will become that's the comparator, really. When you think about all the science that's going to be discussed at this meeting, um, this program really is intended, once we get into the nitty-gritty interviews on hashtag C Arthritis. This program started to try to demystify rheumatology for patients, to try to let them see you in your natural habitat, and to help them understand some of the language that you're using. Because if we can share a vocabulary with our healthcare team, it's powerful, right? It brings the power level of the patient, frankly, to be more active in their care, to turn around and take the advice you give, Dr. Taylor, and actually put it into practice. I think that's where we close the clinical loop. And then, as I think Dr. Zbib pointed out, for rheumatologists, the self-care aspect the association is super focused on, it closes that self-care loop for patients as well, the more knowledge they can gain. So when you think about the pearls that a person like me could get out of this meeting, what are some of the things you're excited about?
I can jump in on this.
Yeah.
I think that there is a lot of excitement on the horizon. One of the things that I see when I look through abstracts that are coming up and planning the meeting for myself, which is one of the big things that we do and is really most helpful in getting the most out of the meeting, there's a lot of innovation around diagnosis and predicting disease course and response to therapies. And I think this is really the next realm in rheumatology. And I think I'm sure that resonates with people who have rheumatic disease, having gone through various trials of different therapeutics before being able to get to the right one that works for you. And I think it's such an exciting time for us as we're starting to see more and more work being done in this area. So that's one key highlight that I think will be um, exciting to see. And it's still in the early stages, but you see it build at meetings year after year in the most recent years. I think that being able to predict disease earlier is the other piece, and that really has to do around diagnostics. So some of that's around diagnostic imaging, X-rays or MRIs, for instance, and some of it is around labs. And bringing in the clinical piece too, which is always the reason that rheumatologists love what they do, because you can't rely only on tests. You have to rely on your own interaction and information that you get from the person that's in front of you.
Yeah, I think that's a message we try to really sing loud and clear here at Arthritis Consumer Experts, and that is the better we can articulate or talk about our lived experience with you, trying to give you the information you really need to help predict what's going to happen in our future is so, so important. When you think, Dr. Zbib, about all of and I know you've been at the CRA for how many years now? I think you're getting on 6 or 7 years?
7 years.
7 years, amazing. When you look back from your first year and you see where you're at now, and you see ascending to new heights as part of this year's theme, what do you look forward to in terms? I know the CRA just recently created the foundation. What other things are you looking at doing as an association that will help the profession writ large?
So it's building on a theme that we started about 2 years ago, and that is really addressing burnout. And this is not specific to rheumatology. And that's why we went down this course of getting to the AI scribes and whatnot. So next phase would be looking at how can we help our members become more efficient users of the EMRs. Looking for EMRs that maybe friendlier for rheumatology, looking for other technologies that are emerging. We know that administrative burden is very high in rheumatology, specifically around drug approvals and forms and calling the insurance and calling the payers. There are some emerging technologies that we can definitely explore and see how we can help our members use that. There's also something we talked about, and that's the speed of new science that comes out. It's really hard to keep up. Yes, those are very smart people, but even smart people have capacity of processing information. So I think that is another place where we can potentially explore. We're very encouraged because everything we're talking about seems to be resonating with the members, and the biggest thing is not to lose track of what the community rheumatologist wants. It's easy to focus on the traditional stuff of education and all other stuff, but I mean, at the end of the day, people, especially in rural communities and whatnot, they don't even have time to think about keeping their information up to date or even installing new software that might help them. I think that this is key for us, is making sure that we're constantly plugged to the needs and wants of our members, understanding what their pain points are, and that everything we do that we run through this, what is the job to be done, and how is that going to really solve a problem for our members?
Yeah, and if you're solving problems for your members, you're solving problems directly and indirectly for your patients. I think that's a really important thread that we need to draw through that conversation for sure. I know you're both very busy and you've got lots to do as you head into the meeting. So I definitely want to thank you for your time. I also would like to just thank everyone involved at the CRA, whether they're staff or whether they're members of your association, whether they're in an academic center or a community setting. We are so grateful for everything that your membership does for patients. We have 50,000 members across the country. I wish 6 million people with arthritis in the country could have a rheumatologist. But hopefully this program and the programs that we interface with you on helps close some of that gap for the person that isn't able to get in to see a rheumatologist. So thank you so much for what you do, for all of the advocacy that the Canadian Rheumatology Association is doing is amazing, for your willingness to partner with patient organizations and other organizations in our community. The CRA is when I think of hub and spoke, you're a hub. We really appreciate that so much. So thanks so much to both of you for joining us. We wish you the very best at the meeting, and we'll be by your side reporting out.
Thank you. Looking forward to it and looking forward to seeing all of the interviews.
Get your cowboy hat packed, lady.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you personally, Cheryl, because you're also there for us. And, especially recently, we've been chatting more and more about advocacy and whatnot. And with your positive tentacles out across the country, I think we're able to affect change. So we value this relationship, and thank you for all that you do for us and for the patients as well.
Thank you. It takes a village, doesn't it? So
It does.
I'll let you go and go take care of your villagers, and we're going to do the same. So we'll see you very soon in Calgary.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care. And thanks to our audience. It'll be great to be able to report out to you as the meeting carries on. Bye for now.